Hey everyone, I'm making this video to document another one of my projects. This time I am making a custom Nintendo shelf. If you guys saw my last project, it was a custom Atari cabinet display shelf. This one's not going to be quite as ambitious. It doesn't have any like double layer opening doors or anything like that. It's just going to be a standard shelf, but it's going to be a much better display shelf than my current one, which is obnoxious and atrocious. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, very much looking forward to getting into it. I really enjoyed making my Atari one. It turned out really good, very happy with it. It was fun to make, fun to design, just an overall good experience. So I'm going to hopefully have the same experience making this one. I'm going to show you my drawings here in a second, and I'll document some of my progress in the wood shop. Just like last time, I'm using my friend's wood shop, which is highly advantageous because it's full of every tool and saw you could ever possibly need to make anything out of wood. So that is a huge benefit when you're doing something like this. So I'm going to get up tomorrow Saturday. I'm going to get up early in the morning and head right over there and get started. I already loaded the lumber over there, bought the stuff this week. This is a very affordable project. I think I spent about $100 on the wood and the screws and the hinges and some of the hardware. I'll have to buy some stain and some clear coat, but that won't be much. So for maybe 125 bucks, 130 bucks or something, hopefully I'll have a nice, fairly large display case. It's going to be 6 foot tall. Well, let me just show you the drawings here. I'll grab the camera and show you the drawings. So here we go. This is kind of my rough brainstorming kind of version. Just kind of trying to figure out what I want to do and the basic dimensions and layout. And then here is my more kind of detailed schematic, I guess, that has more accurate dimensions and a better idea exactly what I want. So basically it's going to be 6 foot tall, as you see there, 3 foot wide, and I'm going to have a small storage kind of area at the bottom with 2 hinge doors just to kind of get the cartridges and stuff off the ground level, and that's a good place to store controllers and stuff like that. And then I have quite a few shelves designed for NES cartridges on their side. I have one shelf there for my Super Nintendo collection, and then the top shelf and the top of the very top will be display, roughly 13 inches of display height. And it does show here that it's 6 inches deep, but I'm actually going to make it 8. I bought 8-inch boards, which I think measure out to 7.5 inch deep. Because when I kind of looked at it more closely and looked at the boards, I was like, wow, that's going to be a really thin cabinet, especially for the display area. I do like that, like my Atari cartridges, I like how they're right on the edge. There's not a lot of gap here in front of the cartridges. So there'll be about 2 inches, I think, of space in front of the Nintendo cartridges when they're laying on their side. But that's okay. It just seemed like it was going to be really thin and not much of a shelf for, especially, again, some display items on the top there. So that's my basic design, and it is going to replace, I'm even embarrassed to show this monstrosity. I've never been happy with the way this stuff is displayed here, especially the ridiculously sagging, drooping, cheap. This is a repurposed bookshelf that I've had for who knows how long, forever, and it just kind of fit in my room nicely here. So it's served its purpose so far, but this looks awful. It's not a good way to display my stuff. And all this junk over here on the side will now go into the bottom where the cabinet doors are, and it will actually be wider than this. It'll fit next to my desk here and go all the way to the wall with a little bit of a gap. So it'll be wider than this and a little bit taller. So it'll look way better than this mess with the, again, the smiley face shelves that are just drooping because of the weight, and they're just cheap wood. So very excited to get into this and document it. hopefully it'll go as smoothly as my baby over here, which I really, again, I'm so happy with. So I'm going to stain it the same color too, so it matches. I got the same. I'm going to get the same exact color and everything. So it's going to be very similar to this, just Nintendo version. So super excited to get into it. I'll put this back now. So next I'll be filming some stuff at the shop, I think, just to show kind of my progress, and hopefully by the end of the weekend I'll have it in place and I'll be putting Nintendo games on there. So wish me luck. Alright guys, I'm back at my friend's awesome wood shop with all the table saws and all the supplies I need, just like last time when I built my Atari shelf. And I'm just here getting started. So here's my plans, my tools, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to start with the bottom piece here. It's going to be the very bottom of the shelf, and I'm going to make it slightly wider or deeper so the doors, when they're closed, they line up with the bottom here. It'll be even, so there won't be a gap there. They'll be kind of like resting. I don't have it drawn like that, but they'll be resting on the bottom of the shelf there. You'll see what I mean when I get it together. But that's where I'm starting, and I'm going to build up from there. So here we go. So I'm starting to cut my boards here, and after each cut, I'm sanding them with 80 grit sandpaper, take out any imperfections and any splintering, stuff like that. So that's what I'm currently working on. Okay, so I've got the kind of the main frame built, and I'm going to put some of the backing on to make sure it stays square while I assemble the rest of the shelf. Otherwise it'll just kind of wobble around and it won't stay square. So before I tack that on with my nice air-powered staple gun, I'm going to use the large square over here and just make sure that I'm forcing this thing square. Now this pre-cut piece of backing should also be square, but I just want to make sure before I tack it on that I am squared up here. It's very important, otherwise you'll have a crooked shelf. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy with these staples just yet, because when I put the interior shelves in, it may pull or push the sides out, because I don't know if they're slightly bowed or not. I just wanted to get this thing tacked on kind of temporarily, just to kind of hold it square while I shift it around. I went ahead and made sure that everything was not bowing and stuff, so I went ahead and put the backing on completely, and now I'm going to start putting the interior shelves on. I am using screws to keep this thing nice and tight. You're not going to see the sides of this thing, so I'm not concerned about seeing the screw heads or anything. I don't just want to nail it with the nail gun. I want to use screws as well to make it nice and sturdy. Okay guys, I'm putting my first shelf on, and I always make these little temporary supports up. That way you don't have to try to hold the shelf up, and you know that it's exactly level. This shop doesn't have a very level floor, so I can't depend on a level to make sure this thing is all squared up and everything. So making these kind of ensures that I do that. So here's my first shelf, and I'm going to size it So this will eventually be the front doors once I cut them and everything. And I made it so it's going to line up. Let me get my hand underneath there. It's going to line up to the top of the first shelf, and I'll allow a small gap at the bottom so when I open the doors they don't drag on my floor. So that's my kind of design here. I'll see how it all turns out. So that's where I'm at so far. Alright guys, I got all the shelves installed, and as you can see, just like my plan shows, I've got a display area at top. This last shelf up here is a ½ an inch taller for my Super Nintendo cartridges, and the other ones are for my NES cartridges. And that bottom section is going to be the one with the hinged doors for storage. So it's coming along quite nicely. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. I got here around 8:30 and did take a lunch break, so going a little slower than I was hoping, but making decent progress. Now I'm going to put the doors on, get those cut up and installed, and then I'll be ready for staining. Alright, well, I've got the doors attached on the bottom there. Not fully. I've got the hinges on, I got them all cut good. I just don't have the knobs and stuff on because I'm going to stain it all up first. But it fits real nice. So, yeah. I'm going to go out and get the stain, and I'm going to start staining. And it's about 2 o'clock. So I'm hoping I can get at least one coat of stain on today, maybe even 2. And I'll clear coat it tomorrow morning. And I'll be putting it back in my room maybe tomorrow night. So I'm just about ready to stain this thing up, and decided to put a little trim piece on the front here because I'm going to put some LED lighting in, and I'm going to hide it. So that trim piece in the front there is going to hide a little tape light that's going to light up my little display area on top there. So, a little impromptu addition. Alright, there it is, all stained up. So, pretty happy with how it turned out so far. Just gotta let it dry overnight, and I'll put a clear coat on it tomorrow. I'm gonna close these doors, see how that looks. And then I gotta put hardware and such on the handles on the doors and the magnets, and the bottom, little feet to go on the bottom. And, well, on my way to being done. Alright guys, it is the next morning, Sunday. I let the stain dry overnight. I just applied a coat of polyurethane, and I'm going to let it dry and apply one more coat of this. Let's see here. Just regular fast drying polyurethane, just standard stuff. Gives it a nice protective sheen. I got semi-gloss, so I'm really happy with how it's turning out. Just as I designed, doors work well. Once I put my second coat on and wait a couple more hours, I'm going to put the final pieces of hardware on the knobs and underneath the feet, and then I'll bring it home. Can't wait to set it up. Hey everyone, obviously I'm back in my room, and I've completed my project, and I have it all set up here, and I'm very eager to show you. It turned out exactly as I wanted it to. It went just as planned, and I really couldn't be more happy with the results. So just a couple things. Again, you saw that I had a big advantage there having that wood shop, and I can't stress enough how helpful that was. But this project was very easy to do. If you're at all familiar with tools, even a little bit, it's just a bunch of cutting and screwing, and I just had a little bit of a plan to go along with that. So if you're interested, I think, if you're a little bit hesitant or overwhelmed or whatever, don't be. They're not that difficult to put together, especially something like this. Now, the one that I did, my Atari one, was a little more complicated with the double opening hidden shelf system, whatever you want to call it. That was a little more ambitious. This one's much more simple. So I did it in one weekend, not even a full weekend. I spent pretty much all day Saturday assembling it and staining it, and then I came back the next day, as you saw in the video, and I put some clear coat on it, let it dry, and took it home that night. So I had the whole thing 100% done and set up in one weekend. So I think very doable project for most people. Now I do use tools every day. I'm pretty handy with tools and everything, so I'm comfortable with saws and drills and stuff like that. I know what I'm doing. But even if you're not, I think it's a very obtainable project for most people. Pardon me. So I guess the next thing is to just show you how it's all set up. All right. So if you remember the other shelf, I'll go ahead and put I'll splice in a picture, I guess, or a video of the old one. And this is the new one. So as you can see, a much nicer setup. It's custom fit in this little space here, 3 foot wide exactly. The other shelf was less than 3 foot wide, so this takes advantage of this space perfectly. I made it the same exact height as my desk here. As you can see, I have a display area here with some items up there. Now, I wasn't going to make this video yet because I have a decal coming, just similar to the Atari one that I did here that I love so much. I got a white Nintendo decal that I'm going to put right here. So I wanted to wait until that came in, but I realized today that it's going to be another week before it comes in. So I went ahead and I was too anxious to get the video up and show everybody my shelf. So as you can see, like I said previously, the top shelf is for my Super Nintendo games. It's a little bit higher than the rest of them, and this just looks so much better. And it makes me want to get more games, and it makes me more eager to collect and all that stuff, because it's just, I hated that old shelf. It just always bothered me since day one, but it's all I had, so I made the best of it. I put this poster up too, kind of fits in there nicely. That's my Super Nintendo poster that came with my NES Mini up there. So I think I showed you guys the doors at the shop here, but here they are with the magnets and everything. And in there I've got some of my PS2 games and some GameCube games. I don't collect a lot of these kind of games, obviously. I mostly do cartridges, but I got some handhelds there on this shelf, and all this will change, I'm sure, over time. But the best thing about this is I got room for expansion. I got plenty of room for more NES games. So very, very happy with how it turned out. And I mentioned when I was building it about this little trim I put up there for some LED lighting, and I'm super excited to show you this. Let me dim my lights here. And I put in some LED lights that I actually have set up on this entire side of my room. So, and they can turn different colors, and they can have all kind of neat effects and strobing. There's orange, obviously the red. In fact, I can even make it go more red by doing that. And you can get all kind of like flashing here. I'll show you something here. We got some kind of effect like that, and stuff like that. So, but I probably primarily would just have the white going there. But yeah, I'm real excited about that too. That makes my room extra fun. And since I went ahead and put that strip up there, went ahead and it kind of like triggered me. Hey, I'll just go ahead and get a whole kit, and I'll just do this whole section here. So it looks really cool. I'll turn the lights out and see if you can get a cool effect there. So, I mean, you can do all kind of cool stuff. This controller has like all kind of functionality. It's really cool. And it wasn't that expensive. It was like $50 for this kit. So really, really excited about that. So that's a nice little upgrade for my room too. But yeah, real happy with how everything turned out. And you can also dim this thing too. It looks kind of bright on the camera there. There you go. But yeah, so there it is. There's my custom Nintendo display shelf. It took me one weekend to do, and it's a much better setup than what I had, and I'm just super, super happy with it. So I'll put the camera back now and say goodbye. Alright, that's it guys. I appreciate you watching and following along. This was a lot of fun to do, And if this inspires you to make some kind of a shelf system or something, I'd love to see what you guys do. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.